power of the crowd has existed throughout our history. Motivating people to gather with a focus on a specific cause can dramatically affect the outcome. These leaders understood the science of persuasion and used mass influence techniques to galvanize ordinary individuals into extraordinary action. Among the most notable of these figures are Adolf Hitler and Mahatma Gandhi, two leaders whose approaches to influence could not be more different, yet whose strategies share some key similarities. From the darkest chapters of history to shining examples of peaceful resistance, the stories of these leaders reveal what makes crowd influence so powerful. Understanding their methods can help us spot persuasion techniques today, distinguishing between those that uplift and unite and those that divide and exploit. So today, we're taking a closer look at the strategies they used to influence people on such a massive scale. Prepare to learn how to understanding these techniques helps us see the power and the risks of crowd influence. So stay tuned. Before examining these figures in detail, it's essential to understand how crowd psychology works. According to Gustave Le Bon, a pioneer in the study of collective behavior, individuals behave differently in crowds than they do on their own. Large groups amplify shared emotions, creating a sense of heightened excitement or fear. Rational thinking often takes a back seat, making crowds more suggestible to persuasive ideas. And if you missed the last segment of Mindful Influences, I would definitely check this out because we go into detail on exactly this topic. So, whether through unity or division, leaders who understand crowd psychology recognize this. And they know how to use emotion, repetition, identity building, and symbolism to create a movement that transcends the individual person. So let's begin by looking at one of history's most controversial figures who epitomized the dark side of this power, Adolf Hitler. Hitler is one of history's most infamous examples of how crowd influence can be weaponized for destructive purposes. He capitalized on fear and anger and longing during a time of economic crisis in Germany's post-World War II era. He emerged with a message that tapped in to the collective pain and anger of a defeated nation. His oratory and propaganda techniques fostered a dangerous loyalty, transforming that collective pain into collective action that would lead to unimaginable suffering. Hitler used several tactics to wield influence. First, he tapped into a sense of national identity and victimhood. And by consistently reinforcing his message that Germany had been betrayed, he positioned himself as the voice of redemption, a savior of his people. And he relied on three primary techniques, which may sound familiar to you if you've been tuned into Mindful Influences for a while now. The first was repetition of key messages, because Hitler understood the power of repetition in embedding ideas into the subconscious, especially the collective subconscious. Slogans like Ein Volk or Ein Reich or Ein Führer, one people, one nation, one leader, they became mantras repeated endlessly in speeches and posters and the media. And this constant reinforcement left little room for dissenting ideas to take root. Second, he created spectacles of power. Hitler's rallies, held in massive arenas with elaborate lighting and coordinated displays, were nothing short of theatrical. These events weren't just gatherings. They were emotional experiences designed to instill awe and submission. Visual symbols like red banners and marching troops evoked emotional reactions, and the spectacle of thousands marching in unison under the swastika made everybody who attended feel part of something much larger. The third thing he used was that us versus them narrative, because by defining groups as enemies of the state, he polarized society and he strengthened people's loyalty to him. Hitler fostered a sense of unity among followers through shared enemies like Jewish people and dissenters. And this divisive tactic amplified feelings of victimhood within the whole German population while justifying the persecution of others. While these strategies succeeded in rallying a nation, they ultimately destroyed it. He demonstrated how influence, when grounded in divisive and dehumanizing ideologies, can lead to catastrophic outcomes. Hitler's misuse of influence underscores the danger of persuasive tactics wielded without ethical boundaries. In stark contrast, Mahatma Gandhi channeled mass influence for peace and freedom. Rather than polarizing groups, his tactics united people across lines of religion, class, and culture. Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence relied on persuasion rather than coercion. He believed that moral integrity would resonate deeply with the masses, inspiring them to act not out of fear, but out of conviction. He led India's nonviolent struggle for independence from the British colony rule. Gandhi demonstrated how ethical influence could mobilize millions to seek justice without sacrificing their humanity. And he used three techniques. First was moral authority. Gandhi didn't just lead, he embodied the values that he preached. His simple lifestyle and unwavering commitment to nonviolence gave him unmatched credibility. The world and his followers saw him as a symbol of selflessness and integrity, making them more willing to trust his leadership and act in accordance with his vision. Second, he used symbolism to inspire unity. His actions were filled with symbolic meaning. The Salt March, for example, was more than a protest against a salt tax. It became a rallying cry for civil disobedience. And by choosing everyday symbols like spinning cloth on a charka, a spinning wheel, Gandhi connected his movement to ordinary people's struggles and aspirations. The third thing that he did was to build collective identity. His language fostered a vision of collective freedom through shared goals and values. Phrases like "quit India" unified Indians across religious, cultural, and economic divides. By focusing on freedom and independence as a common cause, he avoided the divisive rhetoric that could have fractured his movement. His tactics united people across lines of religion, class, and culture. Now, Hitler and Gandhi are two sides of the same coin of influence. Both of them understood crowd psychology and they used mass persuasion. But where Hitler exploited emotions to tear society apart, Gandhi channeled them to heal and unite, proving that leadership isn't about dividing masses and controlling them, but uniting the masses and empowering them. The key difference lies in their intent. Ethical influence, like Gandhi's, seeks to uplift and empower. Manipulative influence, like Hitler's, thrives on fear and division. So, what can we learn from these two historical figures? For one, their stories reveal that influence itself is neutral. It's neither inherently good or bad. It's the intent behind its use and the outcomes that it produces. And that determines whether influence becomes a force for unity or a force for destruction. Mass influence tactics aren't confined to history. They're alive and well in our advertisements, in social media campaigns, and political discourse. Whether these techniques empower or exploit largely depends on the intent of the person using them. By becoming aware of how these strategies work, we can protect ourselves from manipulation and support leaders and movements that align with our principles. So look for red flags of manipulative influence. Excessive repetition of slogans or ideas that discourage critical thinking. Spectacles designed to evoke awe or submission without clear moral substance. And that us versus them rhetoric that fosters division rather than unity. So ultimately, understanding how mass influence works gives us the tools to distinguish between persuasion and manipulation. Leaders like Gandhi and Hitler reminds us that influence carries a profound responsibility. It can shape societies for the better or plunge them into chaos. By reflecting on history, we can better recognize these dynamics in our modern world because the past doesn't just teach us what has been, it prepares us for what's to come and how to better shape our future. So, what do you think? Are there contemporary leaders or movements that embody the ethics of Gandhi or the danger of Hitler's approach? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And hit that notification bell for more deep dives as we explore these ideas at Mindful Influences. Bottom line, the conversation begins with awareness. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember the power of influence is in all of us. So use it wisely. And we'll see you next time here on Mindful Influences.